Hey everybody, welcome back. And sorry if it's shaky cam. We're going with a bit of a different setup. And so what I wanted to do was talk a little bit unfiltered, unedited, je ne sais quoi about Wells Fargo and the transfer partner process. So I'm of two thoughts here, and I understand that business processes take time. I understand the contract negotiations can take time. I understand that this was probably a process on the technological side that they thought would be simple and was much harder to implement because Wells Fargo has never done this before. I can excuse a lot of that. I can excuse it even more and much easier if Wells Fargo had come out and said, after their secret announcement via statement, credit card statements, that they were entering the transfer partner game. If they had approached this in the way of coming out publicly in October and saying, we are looking to enter the transfer partner space, we are going to introduce new travel cards at either toward the end of this year, but more likely next year, and over the coming months, we plan on introducing our travel partners to you. I would have had no problem with that. I don't think anyone would have had any problem with that. And heck, you could have even just said, we'll announce transfer partners, but we're looking for the date to put this system into place. I could have lived with that. The way Wells Fargo approached this was amateur hour. The way they put it out via credit card statements. Okay, cool. Build some secret excitement. Buzz was going to hit the internet. You saw videos from folks like me, plenty of other creators. I know Proud Money put out a video on that. Mark Reese put out a video on that. Chad's Money Minutes did at least a video talking about the eventuality of Wells Fargo partners. You saw plenty of creators start building buzz for this. Newgrows reports. Matt Walter mentioned at one point. CJ mentioned it at one point. It's kind of a who's who of the credit card space. I hounded Spencer Johnson about it. All right, I'm going to stop name dropping everybody, right? All great channels. Nothing about the channels at all. Like, my ire right now is Wells Fargo. They had an opportunity to control this that they punted well out of bounds. They scored own goal after own goal here. They didn't have to promise the transfer partners or the transfer technology working on November 15th. They then didn't have to promise a specific date of December 10th, right? What I feel they should have done would have been to come out in October, early October, or just after the end of quarter 3, so early to mid-October, and say, we plan on entering the travel space. We plan on entering the transfer partnership arena. We have been talking to many companies. We look to announce our first round of partners soon. We will be announcing partners as quickly as we can. We also plan on launching travel-focused credit cards, in addition to our new business credit cards that are also launching soon. Because if there's one thing I learned in my old life, soon is not a time, and some is not a number. But in public relations, you can get away with soon. You can get away with vagary. And you build hype with vagary with, hey, we're going to announce this thing at some point. You can give a date for an announcement and make the date the big thing so that you can build up that speculation for that month and a half. If they had said, and on November 15th, we look forward to announcing our first round of transfer partners, they could have done that. And then November 15th comes, Wells Fargo is excited to partner with, and the partners that they announced would have been great to announce back in November. We're launching with British Airways. We're launching with KLM Flying Blue. We're launching with Avianca Life Miles, and we're launching with Choice hotels. We're not going to, most of these are going to be 1-to-1 transfers. Choice will be a 1-to-2. We're going to put it out there now. That would have been November. If your next date was going to be December 10th, you roll out in December 10th. Wells Fargo is excited to be partnered to announcing a new travel and transfer partnership with Hotel A, Airline B, Airline Theta. If they were going to do transferring points to Norwegian Cruises or M Life or Caesars or I don't care who, right? You would have gotten another month of building more buzz and getting excited so that when the card came around, you have the card that has great multipliers for travel, specifically hotel and airline. You have what could be an easy to exploit credit. What could be a very easy to just burn to the ground real quick. Stash $50 in the United Travel Bank, stash $50 in a travel bank with your preferred airline, move on, get those 4 times points, right? The card multipliers are great. The credit on the airline is great. You're coming out swinging against the Chase Sapphire Preferred and swinging against Citi's program, which may or may not get an overhaul. You had an opportunity to build buzz for months with we're going with these transfer partners, we're going with these transfer partners, we're going with these November, December, January, February, you launch the card in March, and you've got a stable of however many partners you could get. Now, Theory 1 presupposes that all of these contracts were lined up and ready, and a lot of them could have been launched on November 15th. Or they could have done a small set on November 15th, announced another set in December, another set in January, another set in February, card launches in March with a whole bunch of fanfare. The other theory is they were looking at November 15th. They were working really hard until November 15th, and on November 11th or November 12th or whatever date was really close to, we have to write the press release and we don't have the contracts. That's the other theory. They didn't have the contracts by November. They didn't have the contracts in December. They didn't have the contracts in January, and they only inked the first contracts leading up to the announcement on March 6th. That is scary. That's scary because now you're running as fast as you can to catch up to where you wanted to be, and you don't even have the contracts of your next partners lined up and ready. I highlighted in another video that Nick Reyes had mentioned on Freemiler on the Air that he thought that they had a number of partners still to go, and they're just getting ready to launch all of them in some sort of consecutive amount of space and win another news cycle. Absolutely think that's the case. Makes too much sense not to be the case, right? But if that's not the case, then the terrifying thing is they still don't have contracts for their next round of partners, and they're going to scramble to get them. That's terrifying. They shouldn't be in that. Given how long it took, I am worried that it's this second idea, that they didn't have the contracts ready, and that's why they couldn't launch on time. I think more likely what happened was they had the first couple of transfer partners right. They got British Airways to agree by just saying hi. They got Flying Blue to agree by merely breathing in air. They got Avianca to agree after some back and forth, right? Avianca is probably a tougher get than the other two. They got Choice to agree because, well, Wells Fargo issues with Choice cards, and I'm sure that a transfer partnership was part of the pitch to get them to move their cards from Barclays to Wells Fargo. And I'm sure that other transfer partners, this conversation has been going on for a lot longer than we would think. So I'm sure this has been months and possibly even years of deliberation, right? But man, I'm still frustrated by the way this has gone. Like, an announcement in October of transfer partners are coming. We will come back to you with our first round of transfer partners. We'll come back, and it's part of that. We'll let you know when our first availability for transfer partners will be. They came back out after rounds of videos, rounds of articles from the Points Guy and Frequent Miler and Danny the Deal Guru and a whole bunch of others were just like, November 15th came, November 15th went. There was no transfer partners. And then they snuck in the next date of, I believe it was December 10th, that on new credit card statements that went out in November, well, it'll be December 10th now. And I think Dugrau's Reports was the first one to break it, right? I've been upset at the process since they missed November, right? Because this was so easy to get right. This was not even a press conference, but an announcement from Wells Fargo in early October, beginning of quarter four, leading up to the holiday season. You know, if you weren't going to hit November 15th, keep that 30,000, keep that elevated offer going on the Wells Fargo autograph that they had at the time, 30,000 points for however much. I would have added to that, made it 40,000 points, you know, special limited time, you know, get ready for this. Because then those folks would have a smallish cache of points for Journey. Because they may not be able to get Journey due to the Wells Fargo 6-month rule. I really need them to lax that rule out. Not because I'm within the 6-month window, but because everyone who signed up in, you know, around August, November, when they had that elevated offer, when they thought they were going to hit their deadline, everyone's now sitting in the cold when Autograph Journey launches next week. It's not cool. So I'm still excited about the card. I'm still excited about the concept of Wells Fargo as a transfer bank, transfer issuer. I need them to tighten up because everything about this has been a disaster, to say the least. Not because the card is bad, not because the transfer partners are bad, not because you can't find value with those transfer partners, no, but because of the way that this happened. It has been bad from the start, and they need to fix that. So I'm still confident that we'll hear about a new round of transfer partners either on the 20th or on April 4th. And if not those two dates, sometime shortly thereafter. I'm sure we're going to start hearing rumors about Autograph Beyond. But man, did Wells Fargo mess this opportunity up. Anyway, done with that rant. We'll be back with some credit tidbits at some point. You may have missed it. Quarter two, Chase, one of their 5% categories was hotels. I want to know when they put that on the menu. Not that I know anyone who works at Chase, but you know, the rest of them were restaurants, which is going to stack to 7 times points given the bonus you already got on the Freedom Flex. Hotels is 5 times points. It can be 9 times points if you book through the travel portal. And your last categories are Amazon and Whole Foods. I still wish I could have been a fly on the wall when they decided to make hotels the 5 times category, because I can almost guarantee you it was late in the process. Anyway, done for now. Hit the subscribe button if you like what I do, so we continue to grow closer to 500. After that, 1,000. But thanks so much. Talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.